Hi, Kitchen Kings and Queens. Today we're going to do a redemption video. I made this bread using the bread machine. I never posted it because it became a colossal failure. I mean, it was a mess and a half. It was delicious, but it was liquidy. It was uncooked inside. It stuck. Oh my gosh. It made me very sad because it looked like it was good. It looked like it worked, but it didn't work. Okay, so I'm gonna do this the old-fashioned way in a loaf pan in the oven, the way the recipe intended. And this recipe comes from this cookbook called No Jacket Required, which is the follow-up cookbook to this one called Pure and Simple. So both of these cookbooks were sold and made by Neiman Marcus. And really cool idea here. The uh, members of Neiman Marcus used to have a credit card and a like a loyalty club called In Circle, and that used to be, if you've ever heard of the infamous Neiman Marcus catalogs where you could buy a Lear jet or a helicopter or all these extravagant things. That catalog was available only to In Circle members. So what this cookbook collection is, these are recipes that were submitted by In Circle members, and the cool thing about it was they noted what charity they wanted their proceeds of the cookbook to go to. So like it wasn't for Neiman Marcus. It was a for like charity donations. That's what they sold this for. So people donated their recipes, and whoever bought whatever proceeds they made from the cookbooks, they donated to this group of charities that the In Circle members chose. Very, very interesting. The first one, Pure and Simple, that one actually lists the charities. I guess this other follow up one was just kind of generic to whatever charities were in the previous one. Okay, so we're gonna make the uh the bread, and this is called cheese bread, and it looks really good. It's a really good recipe. Um, like I said, I tried the actual bread that I made. It was a little raw in the middle. Actually, it was a lot raw in the middle. So I recooked or I baked that separately. I put it in a little loaf pan and baked it, and it came out really good. And then I ate the parts that were baked, and they were delicious as well. So I think this is going to be a real winner of a recipe. So I want to do it justice and try it. Okay, so I have a packet of yeast, instant or active dry yeast. Active dry yeast, a packet is 2.25 teaspoons of yeast. I also have a teaspoon and a half of sugar in here, and I just added some water. So we're just going to get this started by letting that go. Okay? We're going to let that sit and do its thing. All right? Then we're going to move on to the other ingredients. So in this bowl, I have 3 tablespoons of butter, and I kind of just diced it up. There is a fourth a cup of sugar, and there is 1.5 teaspoons of coarse salt. To that, we have to add a quarter or a half a cup of boiling water. So I set the kettle on, and I'm gonna add that in there. Okay. So that's, and for the butter, you may say, like, what the heck kind of butter is that? That butter is from the Amish. It's garlic herb butter. So I thought that that would be kind of a nice addition to this. Give it kind of like a the herbs in this are very it's a very gentle herb mixture. I think it's like probably dill and parsley, maybe not even dill. Maybe like parsley and chives. It's really good. Okay, so we're just gonna combine that. Okay, we want to make sure we get all that shortening. Well, not shortening. I don't like using shortening, so you can if you want, but I prefer to use butter. So the 3 tablespoons of butter. Okay, so we're gonna combine that, um, and then we're gonna add this to our bowl. Now I separated this out. I measured out um, what is this? 3.5 cups of flour, and I used um, I just took half of it and put it in the loaf pan, and I did that because you have to add like mix half of it, then add half of it. So we're gonna add this in now, and then we have to add some of the other ingredients. So let me actually mix this in. And I'm using my KitchenAid mixer with the dough hooks. So I'm just going to kind of combine that in. Okay. That bread, or that butter smells really good. Okay. Then I'm going to add in two, excuse me, two beaten eggs. And I have to measure this out. Excuse me. I got a summer cold. Um, I also need a half a cup of evaporated milk. This is where things really went downhill. Excuse me. When I made this the first time, I didn't have evaporated milk. So I had to use regular milk. It did not work. Okay, evaporated milk is far more concentrated. And then we're going to add in the yeast. Okay. Then we're going to add in the rest of the flour. And this dough is very liquid. Okay, so it's supposed to be that way. Um, it didn't tell me to use the mixer. I just decided to use the mixer. But you really could just mix this with a spoon or a spatula. Okay, so that's that. And now we just have to let it rest and double in size for about an hour. Okay, so I'm going to just scrape down this dough or the outer flour and just let this kind of get all incorporated. Okay, so we'll come back in an hour and see where we're at. Okay, Kitchen Kings and Queens, our dough has risen considerably. So we're gonna start in the cheese now. Okay, so I'm just gonna grate it on here. Um, and I greased the pan because we're gonna grate it and then we're gonna start this uh into this mixture, into the dough. Okay, so I'm using this darn grater here, fell earlier today and was crashing into all of my uh, little ramekins, and good thing they're the ones that are um, made of the melamine, because they were really fell all over the place because this thing kept falling. I really have to reorganize these cabinets, especially that one, because it's just not suiting my needs right now. So I want to make sure that these things get the way they should be. Okay, so uh, maybe a little bit more. This is, again, if you saw in my previous videos, this is that great Wisconsin cheddar cheese that I got from Q-Mart at Ross Deli. And it's so good. It is just so good. I can't say enough how much I love it. It's really like exceptionally good quality. It tastes delicious, and you get this nice big wedge. Um, so I thought I would have needed that. I don't. Okay. So I'm going to add in this cheese now. And like I said, I have a little bit more here. I'm just shredding. The counter I cleaned many times today, so it's plenty clean. Okay, so now we're going to punch it down into the dough, incorporate this, and then we're going to transfer it into our loaf pan. And that's where it's going to do its second rise. And the directions are very interesting. It's very efficient directions. It tells you to preheat the oven to 400 degrees after 40 minutes. So basically, as soon as this is done rising, the oven will be ready to go, and then it's just 20 minutes in the oven. So it's a very, very good recipe. Um, Very well written, interestingly written. A lot of the recipes in here in that cookbook are very interestingly written. And I don't want to say well written because most recipes are well written, but they just have a really interesting narration to them. It's not so methodical. It's very much as if the person was reading it or telling you what to do. So it seems a lot more personal than a commercial cookbook. And I'm sure it was intentionally formatted that way. Okay. So now we got to do the same thing. And it is a very warm day. So I'm actually going to leave this outside. That's what I did for this one. And I think that's going to speed up the uh, raising of the bread. So I'm going to put that outside and leave it in the sun, and that should speed it up. And then we're going to preheat to 400, and bake, and we'll come back when we've finished baking. Okay? Okay, our dough has risen. It is just about at the top of the pan. So our preheat is done. So I'm going to throw this in for 20 to 25 minutes. Because it's a convection oven, I think it should be fine with 20 minutes, okay? So I'm going to set it for 400 degrees for 20 minutes, and we will be back. Okay, Kitchen Kings and Queens, the timer just went off. It looks brown on the top, so we're going to take this out and see what she looks like. Oh, wow. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so it's got this really nice crust on there. Let's see if it comes out. Give it a little. Because it has cheese in it, sometimes it sticks a little bit. You know, the cheese is dispersed throughout the dough. So let's just run this butter knife around. Let's see. We can loosen it up. You know what? I'm not going to ruin it. I'm just going to let it cool in the pan. And then we'll come back, we'll take a taste, and we'll see how it came out. But from first glances here, this looks really good. So I can't wait to see what we got inside.